Greetings and salutations to all of you lovely, fluffy, non-fluffy, equally beautiful listeners out there. To all of you who are here and listening, I do appreciate every single one of you, as always. So yeah, how's it going? How are ya? It's been a minute. Still not on a sort of semi-regular schedule with this podcast, but I do it when I can, and tonight I can. So it is very late at night on the day that I'm recording this, and I have some things that have happened since our last episode, which I think will be good to talk about. But yeah, some of you may have noticed that I did not have a musical segment at the beginning of this, as I guess I normally would at this point. That is because, this is a bit of a story already. I was tuning my main acoustic guitar that I use, and in the wake of tuning, one of my strings unfortunately broke. As mentioned, I think in the last podcast, I did break a string. So I naturally went in my little stash of strings and guitar supplies, only to discover that I did not have a full pack of strings like I thought I did. So I basically robbed Peter to pay Paul at some point in my restringing of instruments, because the missing string that I had in a new pack was the high E string. So that's unfortunate. So I'm left with a 5-string acoustic at this time. I did order some new ones, so we're good there. We'll have another musical segment, the next episode, but that is why. That is why it is a musicless segment for this podcast, but that's okay. We don't need to do them every single time, Plus, I'm considering what songs I want to play in the coming podcasts, but yeah, I am left stringless at this time, which is unfortunate. I thought I had a lot more stock than I do, but I don't. It's my bad. It's my own bad for, but then again, one string breaks, you replace it. That happens when normally you're supposed to, when a string breaks, at least traditionally, you're supposed to restring the entire thing, get everything changed out. And let me tell you, the strings that I had on the old strings that I had on my acoustic definitely needed it. Oh yeah, they were about due for a change. When your fingers start to get rusty, you know that it's time to change your acoustic strings. Yeah, so a little tip for any of you newer musicians maybe out there. So, the biggest thing that I want to talk about here is, in fact, Furry Weekend Atlanta, which is about not last weekend, but the weekend before that, which I can't believe it's already been over a week since coming back, because that was a pretty big deal. I love that con. I've said it before. It's one of my favorites, and I say that about a lot of cons, but FWA has definitely risen up in the ranks for me, especially this past year, because this past year was insane. Like, probably the best year yet, honestly. So yeah, we had over 17,000 attendees. It was like 17,000.3 or something like that, I think, if I remember correctly. I don't remember the exact number raised for charity, but I remember it was in the 5 figures, I think. So quote me on that if you need to. But yeah, a lot went to charity this year. And the long story short of that is I came home with a little bit of con crud. I woke up Sunday of the convention and I had a sore throat. So yay. Thankfully it did not manifest into something full-blown bedridden whatever. And I was just a bit, sore throat, a little bit of a sniffle, some coughing, but I'm doing much better now, like a lot better now, thankfully. So yeah, FWA was great. We went to the airport early in the morning on Thursday, and I'm talking like we got up at 3 in the morning to go to the airport. Um, Flights weren't that bad. A little bit of turbulence, so not terrible. Got our bags, got to the hotel via Uber, and immediately just went after it. It was great. Like initial walk-in of the convention, it's always funny because I'm immediately seeing people that I know. It's like, oh my gosh, you're here, oh my gosh, you're here, and that's how it went. So yeah, met up with like a handful of friends already starting off the con. And eventually I had to be like, listen, it's been a long flight, I barely slept, I need to go to my room. So um I stayed in the Hilton this year, which if those of you who've never been to FWA, there are three main hotels. There's the Marriott, which is the main hotel. There's the Hyatt and the Hilton, which are connected via Skybridge. So pretty nice. I've hit the trifecta of hotels that I've stayed in for this con. This is my third year in a row for FWA, and I've already stayed in all three of the main hotels. So first year was Marriott, second year was Hyatt, and third year was Hilton. Hilton was okay. The only thing I did not like was the elevators. As a matter of fact, the elevators were the biggest complaint for the entire con for all of the main hotels. Yeah, so um I got my stuff. I went up to my room. I started unpacking, and some friends wanted to meet up immediately and go to registration. So, thankfully, I was in a place where I was like, okay, I can throw down some coffee and head to registration, which I did. So I put my tail on, put on my badge, get all conventioned up, right? And we went down to registration, which was interestingly this time was off site. It was in a neighboring building slash hotel. Can't remember the name of the hotel exactly, but it wasn't one of the connected ones. But yeah, we walked down the street to the other hotel where Reg was being held, and we walk up and there's just all these furries just like standing around, right? Everybody's in the parking lot just hanging out and just, talking and fursuiting and stuff. And we're all like, oh my gosh, what is this? Is this the line? What's going on here? So we couldn't really tell exactly what was going on at that area, but we deduced that it was people just waiting to see if registration was open, which it was at the time. So took an elevator down, went through, followed all the signs and staff and their directing, and we went through to all the ropes of registration, like the ups and downs and the big line and everything. But funny enough, it wasn't actually a big line this time. We got through Reg in maybe 10 minutes, which is insane. Like, I don't know what FWA did this year, but they had it down when it came to registration. We got our stuff in like 10, 15 minutes. That's like insanely good for a con of that size. Now, granted, we were there right around when Reg opened, so, probably helped. But once we got that done, we walked out to where all the furries were in the parking lot, and we kind of sort of deduced that they were all waiting around to see if it was actually open, because the amount of people that saw our badges and came up to us and were like, hey, is registration open? We're like, yes. And they're like, okay, where do we go? And so we pointed them in the right direction, and they went in, and people thought the same thing. Like, who were over there, they were like, are people like waiting in line to get reg, or what is going on here? And we were like, well, no, you just walk in and you get your badge and you're good to go. And they're like, oh, okay. So I think a lot of people were hanging out just to hang out around there, but also I think a lot of people didn't even know where to go, for reg, which is totally fair. So we got our badges. We headed back to the main hotel. And then I went back up to my room and I started unpacking. So, unpacked, got all my stuff in the closets and everything, and just like fursuit, clothes, you name it, everything. Because that's I've talked about this before, but one of the main things you want to do when you first get to the con is priority number one is getting to your hotel room. Priority number two is registration, right? So drop off your stuff, go to registration, come back as soon as you can, and then unpack because you are going to be scrambling. And I'm speaking from experience, by the way. You're going to be scrambling looking for stuff. And you might think, oh, well, it's all in my luggage. Well, let me tell you something. Having your stuff like laid out in the proper places and in the proper areas is going to serve you well. Like knowing where everything is, having it all out where you can see it, it makes it so much better, you know. So that's what we did. We got all our stuff unpacked and I attempted to lay down to take a nap for a little bit, but that ended up not happening because the rest of my roomies came in and they were all like, "Oh my gosh, Samson's here!" And like, "Yeah, hey, how's it going?" So um, I I should mention I do feel bad because one of my roommates is somebody that I've met a number of times, but I did not recognize them. So I could have sworn that they were somebody else that I had roomed with before, but I did not connect who they were until I got back in the room. So we I introduced myself, politely, like, "Hey, I'm Samson, and you are," and they said their name, and it kind of came off as a little awkward because it was then like after our introduction that it just clicked in my brain. I'm like, "Oh, you're that person, okay." And they were like, "Well, I thought the fursuit would have been a dead giveaway," and I'm like, "It is. You're right. I'm sorry." But turns out their fursuit looks almost identical to another person's that I had met a couple of anthrocons ago, and I could have sworn that's who that was, but it was not who I thought it was. So I was like, "I am so sorry. I completely forgot. I know who you are. My introduction again was probably fairly off-putting." So to my other Fox roommate, not gonna say your name, but to my other Fox roommate at FWA, I am sorry. I am very, very sorry that I did not recognize you at the forefront like I should have. So that's on me. But we ended up kind of catching up and stuff and getting back to the same page, which I'm glad what we did because I felt horrible. I was like, oh, how do you forget someone as remarkable as this person, right? So Thursday, the remainder of Thursday, I just kind of chilled. I believe, yeah, I ended up getting in suit shortly after that. I got a much needed shower. I got in suit and I immediately went down and was, just being fluffy most of the time. Um, as a matter of fact, this whole entire weekend at Furry Week in Atlanta was, I think I fursuited probably as a total of like 50 hours, something like that. It was something super crazy. I just remember, oh man, I fursuited a lot this con, and I did not break my record. However, I fursuited for about 11 hours and 18 minutes one day. Yeah, I think it was Friday or Saturday. I can't remember which day exactly it was, but I ended up suiting for almost breaking my record of 11 hours and 41 minutes. 11 hours and 18 minutes. I could have probably stuck it out another, I don't know, 43 minutes, but I just couldn't do it. I I've decided, and I've talked about this before, I've decided that once I hit 12 hours, I'm going to stop counting the records. Once I have officially say that I first suited for 12 whole hours, I'm going to stop counting, you know? So maybe this year, I'm going to try this year again to see if I can hit 12 hours. Uh, it's going to be a challenge, but I think I can do it. 12 hours. So, the next few days were pretty fun. Went to the Fat Furs meet. Actually, there were two Fat Furs meets that I went to. One that was on a schedule and one that was unscheduled. There were a lot of sort of one-off meets that happened, and yeah, I got to head there both times. I got to meet up with friends there. Um, Went to a Twitch Furs meetup, which was awesome. Had a lot of fun. Met some fellow content creators, which was beautiful. And let's see, we had our Sarah Cat fursuits family photo, which was a lot of fun. We did we did some photos in the fursuiting room, like in the main stage area for groups of suitors, like species, right? So I got to be in the cat photo, I got to be in the fox photo, and I got to be in the hybrid photo, which was awesome. So had a lot of fun with that. Um, Got a lot of footage, and we'll talk about my GoPro in a second, but got a lot of footage. Enjoyed a lot of special moments with a lot of friends and people. Met a lot of you in person, which is awesome. Got to see all of you again, which was fantastic. And that is always going to be the highlight of my con. Like, oh, you have no idea how much of that, like how much of a blessing that is to be able to get to meet you all in real life, and like getting to talk to you and have that experience, and just, put a face to the screen name, if you will. And I will never take that for granted, because that is probably my favorite thing ever to do at a con, is to meet those who watch the channel and listen to the podcast and support me on different platforms, and Twitch and YouTube, all those good places. And yeah, just having that opportunity is always going to be a beautiful thing. So to all of you I got to meet, thanks for being there, and thank you for um, allowing me the opportunity to get to meet you and talk with you, and just have that time together. It'll never not be special. It's always special, and I'm so glad that I get to be a part of it. So, um, went to uh, went to a couple room parties. That was fun. And I'm not really a huge like room party person, but if I'm invited, I'll go. I'll enjoy it. So, we did that. Let's see what else. Um, there were well, I should talk about the obvious, uh, well, quote unquote obvious that happened during the con. So, other than other fun events and things that I got to experience, and the people I got to meet. Before I get to the obvious portion of this, I will say this: it is an unfortunate thing that I didn't get to see everybody that I wanted to. So like, there's a number of friends and a number of people that attended that I didn't see once, and that's crazy to me, because with a big con, it's very hard to track everybody down. And I've mentioned this before, especially with like Anthrocon in the past, but yeah, there are a number of fursuiters that I admired, and fellow content creators that I admire myself, that I didn't get to see at all. And I was down on the con floor quite a bit, just hanging out and seeing people, but I did not see some of the individuals that I really wanted to once. And that's crazy to me. It's just like, how do you not see them? You were down there for 2, 3 hours, but it is what it is, right? They could be anywhere at any time. But it's okay. I will catch up with them in due time, and that's okay. You just gotta count the blessings that you have, and see the people that you can, and don't put any pressure on yourself to, um, you got, like, don't make it into a checklist, is what I'm trying to say. Like, oh, gotta see this person, gotta say hi to them, gotta get a picture with them, blah, 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 blah. It gets stressful, okay? Because the more people you see, the more you realize, oh, how valuable were those interactions? So I am glad to say that the interactions that I got to have at the con were truly special, and I'm going to take those as a victory and a win. Even though I didn't get to see everybody that I wanted to, that's okay. There will be other cons. There's always next year. Um, and to those who I didn't get to see, just know that I do very much love and care about you, and I hope to see you at the next con. And we'll make a plan next time we get to that. So anyway, the big news flash that happened. And I've already made a video about this on the main channel, so I'm sure some of you have already seen it, but I feel it's important to express here as well. To those of you who listen to me and maybe are not aware of the main channel, the biggest news flash for this con, and I'm thankful to say it did not ruin my con experience, but it definitely was a wake-up call in many ways, was I lost my GoPro. Yes. My GoPro, the camera that I use primarily for con videos, got lost on the last day of the con. So I was at what's called the Undead Dog Dance, which is basically another version of the Dead Dog Dance. And those of you who are not con attendees or have been to one, you go to this thing sometimes. It's called the Dead Dog Dance, and it's the very last dance of the convention, right? But the Undead Dog Dance is a different version of that at FWA, where they didn't play rave music, but they played like Midwestern emo music. So everything from My Chemical Romance to Blink to, Green Day to I think they had some Panic at the Disco in there and Hawthorne Heights and yeah, all those Midwestern emo bands and West Coast emo bands that you love so much and that you've grown up with. So that was fun. That was a lot of fun. I got to be in my maid outfit and go attend that, which was awesome. But at some point of me, excuse me, at some point between seeing friends in one area and then going around the room to see other friends in a different area, I lost my GoPro. So how I carry it is I have my little con satchel that I keep my stuff in, like my phone and stuff. And then in the front pouch is the perfect size for my little GoPro and my dongle, right? The telescope dongle that I use to stretch it out, and it's like a selfie stick, right? And I keep it in there when I'm not using it. So when I'm walking, I usually have my arm like tight against it, or I have my hand on it or something. Well, the particular instance where I lost it, I did not have my hand on it. Of course, the one time that I don't have my hand on it is the one time I lose it, right? So it was just gone, disappeared, missing, poof, out of thin air. Not sure what happened. I am very grateful for my friends who were so ready and willing to help me look around the area, which they did. Um, there was a good handful of friends that I had around who were willing to help me retrace my steps and talk to people and ask con staff and other volunteers and such who were around to be like, hey, did you see a GoPro? Check the floors, Um, thankfully, con staff was very helpful. They ended up making an announcement in between songs like, hey, if anybody sees a GoPro, please take it to staff or bring it up to the front because we have a missing high claim item, right? Excuse me. Well, as the night progressed, as the dance progressed, it did not turn up, and I'm still kind of casually looking. We had been looking for like maybe half an hour to an hour at that point, and nothing, right? Um, so I'm thinking it either like slipped out of my bag because I brushed up against somebody a certain way where it just like caught somebody and it just like fell onto the ground, or I don't know, maybe somebody grabbed it. I'm not making any accusations, but somebody probably grabbed it. We were checking like the outside tables to see maybe if someone set it on the table. Nothing, right? So again, shout out to staff for running it up the chain of command, so to speak, and for making that announcement on stage. It really does mean a lot that they are willing to help, you know. Um, so yeah, I didn't see it, and at that point in the night, I was kind of stuck there, which was not exactly part of my plan. See, I wanted to, at some point in the night, go back up to the main con space and, see people and walk around and stuff. I didn't want to stay in the undead dog dance the whole time, right? But at this point, I'm locked in. I have no choice but to stick around because it may be somewhere nearby, right? So I was kind of stuck there. But it didn't matter because I had my friends around me and we got to experience the songs and all the songs that I love, I pretty much knew every single song that they were playing, and it ended up being really nice. Like I didn't let the my missing GoPro put a damper on the night. I was able to get back into the music and sing and dance along and still have a great time. So I'm thankful to my friends for helping me with that and kind of keep my spirits up. And shout out to the DJs for playing some bangers to really help bring up the mood. But yeah. Um, again, it didn't put a damper on my night. I didn't let it. So, definitely did my best in that. So, dance ended, and we looked around on the cleared floor as everybody was kind of clearing out, and the lights came up, and still didn't see it. Nothing. Nobody. Nowhere. Um, we checked with con staff again, and they told us to go to the front desk of the hotel and their lost and found to see if they had turned up anything because at that point con operations had closed. So okay. So we go to the front desk and the wonderful lady who sees this red kitty fox in a maid outfit approaching her, yeah, I imagine she was very confused, but she's probably seen furries all weekend, so probably no surprise to her. But I just found it kind of funny that I was dressed as a maid in my little getup, and I was asking her for help for a lost and found item. So bless her, she tried. She contacted security. She got with her team, made a couple calls, and nothing turned up. So, okay, this is getting real now. And she said, don't worry, just come back tomorrow morning and check again, and we'll see if we have it. So, okay. So at that point, I decided it's time for bed. Granted, I'm going to sleep with that on my brain, the anxiety of my missing camera on my brain. But I ended up getting a few hours of sleep, not a lot, but given the situation. But I did my best to sleep as much as I could. So I tried, and I did. Um, so yeah, I I woke up the next morning fairly early because my flight was I had to be at the airport around 11, so I had to get up and pack and do all that good stuff. And by that point, all my roommates were gone. Like they had all vacated. We said our goodbyes, and they were off to their own traveling plans. And it was just me in the room. So I packed up my stuff, checked the room, did some cleaning, made sure to leave a tip for housekeeping because that's very important to any of you congoers out there. Leave a tip for housekeeping, a cash tip. So I did, and dragged all my stuff downstairs to the front desk, and I checked again, and they once again different person this time. It was a very lovely gentleman who was very kind to help out. He took my contact information and he said, "We'll let you know if anything comes up." And I was like, "Okay." So they did their best. They didn't find it, but they did as much as they could. So shout out to the Marriott staff for making an effort, a true effort to help me find this thing. So at that point, I was like, well, I guess the next thing to do would be contact the FWA staff via email and see if they have it in their arsenal. So that's what I did. I went through email and I contacted Con Operations, and I said, "Hey, here's the missing item. Here's a picture of it, description, high claim value. Please get back to me as soon as possible." I don't, and at that point, I was like, I don't know what that's gonna do, but it's worth a try, right? So, kind of my last resort at this point of just desperation, because let me just quickly say it wasn't necessarily the camera itself that I was concerned about getting. It was the fact that all of my con footage was on there from this past weekend. Like that past weekend of just having all those memories just shoved into that camera. And, I could have let the camera go if it meant that I could get my footage. So I I did what I could. So I emailed con operations and I left for my flight, came back home, and let me tell you, that was a tough flight to come home on because uh between the Uber ride, the flight, driving back home, everything, it was just on my mind like I don't know what I'm going to do if I don't have this thing, man. I have no idea what I'm going to do. So, well, I'm happy to say that it doesn't end there. I want to say it was Wednesday last week is when I checked my email. I was at work and I checked my email and I get a email from Con Operations FWA, and they said, quote, "We think we found your camera." I was like, "Oh my gosh." So I looked at the picture and sure enough, there it was. They found my camera. FWA staff found my camera. I cannot believe it. Like, I still can't believe it. Like, seriously, it is probably one of the best pieces of news that I had gotten that whole week because I was just in this existential dread for most of the week. Just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then all of a sudden, I read that email. I'm at work, right? I read that email. I look at the photo, and there it was. And I know it was mine because I recognize that ratty handle anywhere, right? So I wasted no time. I like stood up from my desk and I shouted, "Yes! They found my camera!" And like I was loud, you know. I'm sure most of my coworkers were very confused at my notion at standing up and shouting. But yeah, I was running around happy. I had tears in my eyes. I was like, I can't believe they found my camera. I just didn't even care. I I was running around like a crazy person, just being so happy and full of joy and just feeling that weight of the world just, lift off of me. Seriously, like I cannot describe it. So much joy that just came out of that situation. So I am happy to say that as of this time, my camera is now in transit back to me. I'm not sure when it's going to be here, but I'm hoping it'll be real soon, you know. Um, I just want to say once again, shout out to FWA staff for really pulling through on this and for helping me out. And also to that Good Samaritan who picked up my camera in the wake of the chaos of the undead dog dance and who gave it to staff and was like, "Hey, we have a lost item here." So I don't know who that Good Samaritan is. I don't know their name. I'm not sure who it was, but even if it was a con staff member, either way, I'm just so grateful to you. If you hear this, maybe thank you for finding it and for picking it up and turning it into staff and their lost and found. It really does mean so much to me. You have no idea what you've done. You've just done so wonderful. You've done a wonderful thing, and I cannot thank you enough for it. So, I'm getting my camera back. Oh, and I should also mention, in the wake of my missing camera, I did make some posts on social media to kind of spread the word, and the amount of people who responded, sent messages, reposted it, spread the word to all of you. Thank you for spreading the word and for helping me kind of put my mind at ease and for really taking this on and being so supportive in this whole thing. I really do appreciate your help in spreading the word in this just it means the most. Like, you have no idea how much it means. And also shout out to a very wonderful individual who I will not name for privacy reasons, but who was kind enough to offer to send me a replacement GoPro. Um, and I like for free, by the way. I asked if they wanted payment and they said no. I just need, I have this one lying around, you can have it. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. So I'm so beyond grateful to you as well, who offered and still sent a replacement GoPro in the wake of mine being lost. So thank you so much for that. And I didn't even ask for it. Like, you just came out and you offered, like, hey, I have an old one that you can have. And they were so kind, and like, that is such a kind and wonderful gesture. I cannot begin to say thank you enough for that. So yeah, this I said this in my other video, but I'll say it again. It really does restore a lot of faith, not just in the furry fandom, but in humanity at large. Like, it means the most that, like, I know I've said that a lot, but like, the amount of restoration of faith and believing in good and the good of people that still exists out there. Like, hope is real. Miracles do happen, and there are good people out there who are willing to help. Even when the world sucks and people seem like they're just awful, there is good out there, and it will find you or you will find it, you know? So I encourage all of you hearing this, remember to continue to be that good person. Do that good for somebody else, because you never know who you're going to be helping. And I know and I acknowledge that maybe this is a small favor, because I know that there are people out there with much larger problems than much larger problems than this. And I understand that it's just a material item, it's a thing, I can make more memories, but the principle still stands. It really does mean so much that so many people would take the time to just be so supportive in this. So thank you all, as a collective whole, staff, Good Samaritan, those who sent messages, comments, and reposts, my friends who helped me look, everybody involved. Thank you so much for this. You have no idea what you've done, and how much you have made my heart grow so much in this. And for that, I just want to say that I've learned a very valuable lesson, that with something like this, content creation, be it big or small, it doesn't matter. There's always going to be risk. There's always going to be things that are going to happen. Some might call it breakage. Some might call it risk versus reward. Some might call it, just part of the business. And it is true. Things are going to break. Things are going to get lost. You might lose a lot of footage. You might completely miscalculate a project. You might run into a brick wall, whatever the case. If you're working on something like a project, content creation, art, whatever the case, there's always going to be something that happens that's not going to go your way. And that's okay. Because at the end of the day, we make it okay. We have to. It will balance out. And we, in a weird way, have to roll with the punches, you know? And in this case, I had to accept the fact, somewhere, I think day 2 of my camera missing, in the midst of anxiety and my depression of the whole situation, I had to accept that maybe I won't be getting this back. And I have to be okay with that. I have to accept the worst case scenario of this whole thing. And then I can improve on the worst. So that's a little formula for you all. If you're ever feeling anxious or feeling worried about something, just think of the worst case scenario of a situation, and then ask yourself if you can accept it. And if you can, then you can improve on it from there. Now, that's also to say, ask yourself what the law of averages of the worst case scenario happening. What is the likelihood of the worst case scenario happening? My guess is slim to none, or at the most 50-50. It's not always guaranteed that the worst is going to happen, right? So I encourage you all, think about it that way. It's about cognitive reframing. It's about how you look at it. You know, how you look at it is how the future will determine your thoughts and your attitudes towards the situation. So you can look at it in a different light, and it's not going to be easy, but it'll be worth it, because at that point you've accepted it and you're bulletproof. You can accept it and you can move forward from it. So in this case, it happened to work out, you know, but even if it didn't, I I would accept the situation. I would accept the consequences, as it were. And it really has brought a new perspective of being grateful and being thankful for the things that I have and the people in my life, and the projects that I get to work on. And just because I lose a very expensive piece of equipment that contributes to my content creation, that doesn't mean that it will stop there. That doesn't mean that I have to shut everything down. That doesn't mean that we stop. We keep going, and I would have kept going even if it stayed lost. So I hope that's encouraging to you all. I really do. And I hope that you can take something from that. Other than that, that was my FWA experience. And you all will see the real experience when the FWA video finally goes up, which I'm going to say is probably going to be sometime next week. Since there's a bit of a delay, obviously, given the situation, but I think you'll like what you see, because I'm really excited to show you all the footage that I got from this con. But yeah, other than that, having con crud was in a way a blessing in disguise, because I didn't do anything this past weekend. I just wanted to recover, rest, sleep, catch up on some projects while I was waiting, and just take some. It was yeah, con crud, but it was nice to just take some time to just rest and recuperate, because this coming weekend, as you're hearing this, I will be at Anthro, Ohio, which is my home con down in Columbus, Ohio. So if any of you are going, I can't wait to see you. It's going to be a great time. And by then, I'll have one of the GoPros back, so I'm excited for that to come in. But yeah, it's good to have a nice weekend, in between cons, just to kind of bridge the gap a little bit. So I'm really excited for Anthro, Ohio. I have been going since, I believe, 2021 or 2022, something like that. So I believe this will be my fourth or fifth year in a row, and get to see all my local friends and friends from out of town, and just enjoy a more chill and smaller con. So I can't wait to see you all there if you're going, and I'm really looking forward to just being fluffy, hanging out with friends, being in a very familiar place, and enjoying a smaller con at large. So to any of you going, I will see you there. Oh, I should also mention, before we wrap this up, that I'm very proud of my coworker, because he beat two major bosses in Dark Souls this past weekend. So, uh, to any of you who are Dark Souls players, specifically Dark Souls 1, he beat the Gargoyles and Capra Demon. So he's a rather new Souls player. So him beating both of those bosses were awesome. Fantastic. So shout out to you, coworker, for your victories. And even though you're a new Souls player and you're still getting the hang of it, I'm very proud of you for putting that effort in, and for defeating those two bosses that are not easy, especially if you're a new Souls player. So congrats to you. I'm glad I got to be a part of that. But yeah, before we wrap this up, I want to I want to just take a moment to read something to you that popped up on my phone today. And I love this quote, and I completely forgot about it, but I'm glad that it came back around and I got to see it again. As many of you know, I do a lot of study of Stoic philosophy, and be it ancient, it still holds up today. So we've talked a lot about Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus on this podcast. Well, this particular quote comes from Epictetus, and he talks about freedom in this quote. It's a very simple statement, but something that's very impactful, I think. So Epictetus says, "Is freedom anything else than the right to live as we wish? Nothing else. Is freedom anything else than the right to live as we wish? Nothing else." And I love that quote because it reminded me immediately of something that my mom used to say when I was growing up, and she'll still say occasionally: "You choose the life that you want." And I know a lot of us out there feel like we don't have control over our life. We feel like maybe people are making decisions for us, or we have to make certain decisions that will please people. But at the end of the day, we choose the life that we want, and we have that option. You, listener, can choose to live how you want. And we we use the hand that we're dealt. But that doesn't mean, and be it good or bad, it doesn't mean that we have to stay there. We can always add more, we can always subtract others, and we can make decisions that will be impactful, and they will be life-changing, and they will be some difficult ones, but what kind of life do you want to live? That is true freedom. True freedom is living the way that we want to. And I'm here to tell you, even if maybe you're someone who needs to hear something of a permission, so to speak, because I know that there are some out there who feel that way. I know I can be someone like that as well. I can be a person who maybe needs to hear permission sometimes in a weird way, you know? But I'm letting you know if that's something that you need to hear. I'm telling you right now, you are able to live the life that you want. You're able to make the decisions that you want and the things that you want to have in your life because no one else can make those decisions for you. They may think they can, but they can't. And it's good to ask yourself, what kind of a life do I want to live? What have I always wanted to do? Who have I always wanted to be? Nobody other than myself. And I think that's the answer right there. So, I do appreciate all of you for, if you've come this far, thank you for listening to my rambling. Thank you for indulging me in this. I really do appreciate it. And of course, once again, appreciate all of you who listen and support. I say this all the time, but it really does, I do mean it when I say that I just, I thank you for giving me this opportunity. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be doing any of this. And it's not that I have to do it or feel like I have to do it, but the fact that I get to do it is an absolute gift. And I would not have this any other way. The more people that I meet at conventions and meetups and even just randomly, you know, it just, it really like, I just I wake up some days and I wonder to myself, like, how did I get here? This is amazing. How did I get in this position? Well, I didn't do it alone. All my friends that have been there since the beginning and all of you who continue to support, like, this would be nothing without you. You are the lifeblood of this whole adventure that we're going on together. And the fact that I get to entertain you is just, it's forever a blessing. And I promise I will never take it for granted. Every day that I get to do this, I get to do this every single day. I work on stuff every day, for your entertainment and to show you that I'm serious about this. I want to do this as much as I can because I love it. I love doing it. And I'm going to keep doing it as much as I can. So, that being said, always remember the Latin phrase, sic parvis magna, greatness from small beginnings. You started somewhere on your journey, and be it a crappy hand that you were dealt or a good one, it really doesn't matter because there is greatness in wherever you started, wherever you began your journey, and no one can ever take that from you. So remember that greatness, that fire, that drive, that passion that's within you, and follow it and continue to capitalize on it as much as you can, you know? Don't forget those who brought you up and who continue to stand by you today because you never know what tomorrow will bring. Let them know that you love and care about them because tomorrow may not be the same as today. And also remember to be you and be yourself. There's never been anyone like you. There's no one like you at this time right now, and there will never, ever be anyone like you in the future. You can only do the things the way that you can. Nobody else can do them the way that you do. And be yourself because everybody else has been taken. You can only be who you are. So, that being said, I want to thank you again for listening. Thank you for all your support. I'll see you, some of you, in Anthro, Ohio. Can't wait. And until next time, this is Samson Kitty Fox. Thank you again for all that you've done. Bye-bye. Bye. Love you. Meow meow.